Paul?
I'm here.
Frank? Here. And Joaquin's here. Okay. With that, we've got quorum.
Yes, sir.
Let's go ahead and take the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic
And to the which stands
one nation,
one nation,
under God,
under
indivisible,
indivisible, and liberty and justice for all.
You and ask you to guide us in this meeting. May we be united in the spirit of mutual respect and in the healthy exchange of ideas. Help us to work together for the good of all in our community. Amen.
Amen.
Any public comments?
Chairman, we do not have any public comments at this time.
We can go with the reports.
Yes, sir. Item 1A is a report on program manager activity for the 365 Tollway project and the IBTC environmental clearance document. Eric Davila will give you a quick update.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So I'll direct our attention to the 365 tollway section of the report, which is really on page 6 right now. So where we are in the schedule for the 365 contract letting is that we have received our release advertised. That was early August. And so since August 8th, we've been advertising in the Monitor and then in the Advance on Sundays and Wednesdays, respectively, in those two publishers. And we've already pushed all the bid documents out to SIFCAST, and so we have a pretty extensive plan holder list already. We are a week away exactly today from our pre-bid meeting with the contracting community. It's an important mandatory milestone where the people that are interested in bidding must show up. So the prime consultant must be present, logged in. We had already planned to have the meeting at the McAllen Convention Center, but we always had an online option available. So we'll be pushing out the dial-in link so that they could have a GoToMeeting access and accommodate people that cannot travel or, with everything going on, give them an alternative to attend the meeting and be present. So we'll be pushing that out this week. The interest is good. We've had a few questions come up with regard to the plan set and the bid documents, but nothing as extensive as the last time. I suspect that once we get through the pre-bid, there may be more questions. And now that, especially as we approach October 13th, which is the bid opening date. So we're giving the bidders 66 days overall to get familiar with the project, ask questions, visit the site, talk to us via SIFCAST, because all the questions have to be formally submitted via SIFCAST. And so I'm sure we'll get a lot of interest and more questions coming up here soon. But all that is going smoothly. We, working toward a bid opening of October the 13th, which would then trigger a special call meeting on October the 19th, and hopefully culminate in the award of contract. That would then allow the RMA to start meeting with rating agencies and pricing the bonds. And I know that the finance team is here, and they'll probably elaborate a little bit more about what that schedule might look like and talk about the kickoff meeting that we had today. But all in all, we are proceeding as to this schedule right now. Any questions on 365 or any component of the bid process? Hearing none, I'll quickly go into IBTC, which is on page number 7. We're still trying to go for the early fall environmental clearance. We are here in August, but we had some last minute coordination on the rail, which will help us avoid a lot of protracted design period by incorporating some of the rail comments that we got from TxDOT and per the guidance from the rail agencies that do a real good job of publishing their requirements. Our schematic will basically work in all those requirements now at the 30% level of design, therefore minimizing our coordination in the future. So we are working diligently with HDR to get that submittal out this week. We have an updated schedule, an updated estimate, and a final schematic. So basically, we got the major technical design components ready to go have a public hearing. So we'll be submitting that to TxDOT shortly. And no major changes to the environmental document are anticipated with regard to those rail adjustments. So we don't anticipate a protracted period to get a notification when we can go to hearing. So I hope that by next month we'll have a better handle as to when that meeting will take place. But we're still intending for fall. Any questions on IBTC? No? Hearing none, thank you all.
Chairman Directors, next item on your agenda is 1B, report on the 365 Tollway project financing activities. Richard Ramirez was unable to be here today. He had a death in the family, but we have Colby Eccles here with Hilltop Securities. He'll be giving you an update.
Good evening, Chairman, Directors. Thank you all for the opportunity. As Eric mentioned, we had the kickoff meeting this afternoon. Had the underwriters involved, the entire finance team involved. Everything went great. Everybody is on board trying to make the schedule that Eric has mentioned to you guys. We are right now looking at pricing probably mid-November, closing in mid-December. So you would get your money for this project mid-December. Rating meetings are scheduled for late October of this year. All of this, I will put the caveat, is contingent upon some things happening, TxDOT approving the contract. If TxDOT delays, then unfortunately it's likely to delay this as well. That's out of our hands, but we're going to push as hard as we can to make sure that happens according to schedule. Some additional good news is that rates have been cooperating with us since August 12th. For the past 12 days, tax exempt rates have not moved at all. Since early May, we're actually a little bit better, about 7 basis points better in the tax exempt scales. So fingers crossed, knock on wood, everything's going to stay as it is and possibly even improve, and we'll be able to get this done. Any questions that I can answer?
Any questions? You have a question. What is the interest rate that you're looking at? More or less, ballpark.
That's a very good question. The true interest cost right now, I would imagine, and I can get back to you. I haven't run the numbers recently, so I want to say it's around 4%, but if you would like, I would be happy to provide that to you tomorrow. I can get you the accurate number based on today's rates.
Just have an idea on where the interest rate stands.
The senior lien, we're going to be issuing on 2 liens. We're going to issue a senior lien and a subordinate lien. The subordinate lien will be a little bit higher than the senior lien. The senior lien will have priority on the revenues generated by the toll system. Subordinate lien will be subordinate to those, so it's naturally a little bit higher. The senior lien, I'm hoping, is going to be around 4%. Subordinate lien maybe around 4.25, 4.20, something like that. But I would ask you, please don't hold me to that.
No, of course, I know.
So I apologize, I don't have that answer off the
No,
top of
don't
my
worry,
head.
don't worry. Thank you.
But I would be happy to provide.
I didn't mean to put you on the spot. Don't worry.
Yeah, it is contingent upon the
A
structure of the
lot of different
bonds,
factors.
but I can get that number for you easy enough if you would like.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you, Kobe.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Chairman Directors, next item on your agenda is a consent agenda. All matters listed under the consent agenda are considered to be routine by the governing body and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items. However, if discussion is desired, that item or items will be removed from the consent agenda and will be considered separately.
If there are no questions. Got to get a motion for approval of the consent agenda. Who's that? Alonso?
There was a motion there. Alonso.
Motion by Alonso, second. Second by Nick. All in favor, say aye.
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 All against, no, same sign. Motion carries.
Chairman Directors, item 3A is Resolution 2021-32, approval of work authorization number 9 to the professional service agreement with C&M Associates for a traffic and revenue bring down letter for the 365 tollway project financing. Directors, if you may recall, we issued a traffic and revenue investment grade traffic and revenue study, was published in approximately February of this year. As we know, those only have approximately about a 6-month shelf life before we need to update it. So fast forward to August, we're at the 6-month shelf life. and we'll be issuing this debt probably in the next 60 to 90 days. And so we'll need to update those items, several items, as part of the what's called the bring down letter, which is basically an update of the traffic and revenue study. So some of the items that will be updated as part of the investment grade is the social economic assumptions, border crossing update. So we're gonna, there's been some upward trends in border traffic, particularly truck traffic. So we need to update those to make sure we've got the latest and greatest. And then, of course, with that comes a revenue forecast that will also be part of this bring down letter. So staff is recommending approval of this in the amount of $35,598.24.
Are there any questions? I entertain a motion for approval.
So moved by Zeke.
Motion by Zeke, can I get a second?
Second.
Second by Alonso, all those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All same sign, motion carries.
Item-
Resolution 2021-33.
Yes, sir. That's the approval of the maximum contract, or the approval of the contract amendment number 10 with CNM Associates to increase the maximum payable amount for work authorization number 9. This is to increase their contract amount for the $35,598 you just approved as part of the work authorization. So their revised contract amount is now $627,016.30. Staff recommends approval.
There a motion for approval for a motion by Frank, second by Joaquin, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. And resolution 2021-34.
Yes, sir. This is approval of the 365 Tollway Wetland Mitigation Conservation Easement in favor of the Valley Land Fund. So as part of our permitting process, the authority is required to obtain a permit from the Army Corps of Engineers for wetland mitigation. And this is basically where we cross environmentally sensitive land as part of the project. What the authority did is that we purchased a approximately 80-acre land bank. We bought some, as part of the acquisition process, we bought 80 acres that are basically in the river floodplain. And we bought it for a very good price. And we banked it because we knew we would have to, as we impacted lands, we would have to dedicate land to mitigate those impacts where we went across environmentally sensitive and built our improvements. As part of the permitting process, the Army Corps of Engineers requires that we issue a conservation easement through a third party. And in this particular case, an approved third party. And so in this particular case, Valley Land Fund is an approved third party because that's what they're in the business of, conservation of land. And so we're going to take the first 15 acres out of the 80 and grant a conservation easement as part of the permitting process for the 365 project. So staff recommends approval of this conservation easement in favor of the Valley Land Fund.
Can I get approval of resolution 2021-34, the approval of the 15 acres to the Valley Land Fund?
I just have a question. Pilar, do you have any plans on the balance of the acres?
Yes, sir. So any issues that we come up with in the IBTC project, we've got that bank to address any issues there. And then as we develop the rest of the loop, we have that land bank to address any mitigation and permitting issues that may arise through the environmental process.
So you're just gonna leave it open for right now to see which way we need to go? And can you educate me a little bit about the Valley Land Fund? I don't know who they are.
So
I just need to be educated for my own personal purposes.
yeah, so they're a wildlife conservation organization here in Hidalgo County, and so they're in the business of acquiring land and for wildlife conservation. That's what the Valley Land Fund does. And so they're an organization that the Army Corps of Engineers would approve to grant conservation easements to make sure that this land is protected basically for wildlife in perpetuity. And so that's why we've selected the Valley Land Fund.
And it is in perpetuity.
Yes, sir. It is in perpetuity.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Not entertain a motion for approval of resolution 2021-34. Have a motion by Frank. Can I get a second?
Second.
Second by Joaquin. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, say
Aye.
no. Motion carries.
Chairman and directors, we have no further business for the board's consideration.
There being no further business, can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Motion and a second.
Second, March.
All in favor, say aye. Opposed,
Aye.
same sign. Motion carries. Thank you, everybody, for attending the meeting. Hopefully we can do this in person next month.
Thank you, guys.
Y'all stay safe.